YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm not taking the day off, and I thought I would compare my new quote-unquote 50B to my Holton TR185, which I've had for much longer. And these are like my first serious notes on this instrument, so you're hearing basically the same things I am for the first time. Playing them both with the same mouthpiece. I'm playing this with a slide that it didn't come with, because the slide it came with has pretty bad action. It's not really fair that way. This is my Edwards V slide, single bore with my 50 lead pipe. So about as close as I can get. And I'll play something back to back, talk about it for a second, play another thing back to back, talk about it for a second, etc. until we get to the end. So tell me what y'all think on that side, and I'll tell you what I think on this side. I'll play this first because I'm more familiar with it. And I'll start with a C scale to high C and an arpeggio down, assuming I don't mess it up. With an extra A for effort. Extra concert A for effort. Here we go. Same thing on this. E pull, of course, because I don't have two valves. So, flubs aside, definitely very different response between the two instruments. The 185 has a lighter response, just a little bit quicker. The high range gets a little squirrely. You guys didn't see it, but I did like 3 previous takes of this where I missed the high C every time on the Holton. And on this, I haven't yet. It's a little unfair with a modern slide and a good lead pipe. I'll give it that. But the rest of this is not in great shape. So that's interesting. The low C, the low range is a totally different feel and sound on this side of the bell. Let's leave all the conclusions for the end, and I'll play something else here. A little bit of an Arbin's etude, so articulated stuff again. Same exact thing on this, and not an E pull, please. Ooh, that valve. So, big difference between these two. It's just the valve action. This is not great. This is after I've taken it apart, cleaned it, set it up perfectly, as good as I can get. It's just not good, and so I'll randomly miss valve notes that I usually wouldn't. And then I play that and I'm like, it's just butter. Even though it has kind of the same setup, it's got the ball and socket linkage, just like an old Bach, but this one is so good. It's in really good shape, it's all lubed, it's set up perfectly, and so I don't miss that stuff. So, big difference there already. I'm just going to play one last thing. A part of a Bordoni etude. I was trying to think of the correct one. I was like, oh no, which one is it? So I'm just going to play like the first phrase in the written octave of this Bordoni to get kind of a legato feel. And then we'll talk about the conclusions here in a second. All in real time. Alright, so first two phrases. Into the key change and stopping there. Same thing on this. Oh man, that's not great. Alright, a little flub in there. That's going to change opinions. Alright, so kind of thought of a couple other things I could play, but we'll stop there, I think. Conclusions on this side of the bell, right after playing them, no time to think about it. They're just really different. And it's interesting because these are based off of the same instrument. The 185 is based on a red brass New York 50 from Bach that Edward Kleinhammer was using at the time. And I think like Bach didn't want to work on him with two valve instruments, and so he went to Holton, and they kind of copied-ish this Bach 50. So most of the measurements are the same on these two instruments. Obviously you can see there are differences. The wrap is different. The wrap is also a different size on this. This is 585 tubing as opposed to 593. The valves are different sizes. And I'm sure there's, materials differences in the slides. Lead pipes are different designs as well. And I think this has a slightly smaller bell, like it's not quite 9.5 inches. Anyway, very different. There's a color to the sound of this that I actually didn't expect. It's got a much wider sound in general, which usually means less color most of the time, just kind of more boring. But playing the Bordoni, I get this little sense behind the bell anyway, that there's something more to it than just da, 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 da. It's not as boring as I would thought it would be. I think the slide is helping a lot. This slide really does make horns sound very good. This has a wider sound in general, just a little less wide, more to the middle of it than the sides. This, I think, has more to the sides of the sound. Response-wise, this is definitely quicker, but sometimes feels like it can back up a little bit. Feels just a little, sometimes can feel a little bit tight. And this doesn't feel tight in the same way, especially in the middle and upper register. It's just a little open, not in a horrible way, but just a little open. Down low, this is better. It's got two valves, but also it centers more easily. The valve action is better. I feel much more confident. This has kind of like a fluff to the valve register, response-wise and sound-wise, I think, that I find with most 50Bs actually. I don't know if it's the rotor or the close wrap or what, but the sound, I'm like, I want a little more middle to it, I guess. Anyway, really interesting comparison. This is going to get fixed up to a point at some point. I think we're going to have the bell worked on while it's still on here. We'll see if it gets any better. But you're hearing this all for the first time, just like me, and very interesting conclusions. So in the comments, tell me what you think of either one. Hopefully some sound difference comes across on camera. And that's all I got for today. Bye-bye.